This is Support is Sexy, episode 435, with Dr. Renee Matthews of Ask Dr. Renee. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I bring you inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and lessons to help you take your business to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And if you are a woman entrepreneur, a woman who is ready to get her message out there into the world, to stop playing small and to share your expertise, I want you to consider podcast guesting. I always admit I might be biased. I love podcasting as a host. I love appearing on podcasts, but I have witnessed what it can do for your business. It is one of, at least, the best ways to get your message out there. Now, if you have not done it before, or you need some refresher, or you just need more information on what's great about podcast guesting, I want you to download my free gift on how to be an unforgettable podcast guest at girlonpodcastgift.com. That's girlonpodcastgift.com. A free download that tells you more about podcast guesting, why it's great for your business, reasons you should consider it, what you can do to be a great podcast guest, and how you can get invited back again and again. That's girlonpodcastgift.com. Now, I'm super excited about our podcast guest today. You know, I say that all the time because I love the ladies that come on the show. Dr. Renee Matthews is no exception. And in this episode, we talk a lot about media, publicity, getting your message out there, as I just spoke about, because Dr. Renee does a lot of work in publicity and helping entrepreneurs, professionals, entertainers get their message out there. And she also talks about, though, and this is the thing that I really resonated with, the importance of intention, the power really of intention. So I want you to listen out for that. Before I think we even start discussing it, you'll feel it, sense it, hear it in her story. The importance of setting your intention, believing in that intention, and the power of that intention, and how Dr. Renee used that to get her medical degree, which she wanted in order to appear on television as a professional with medical experience, to share her message, to share her expertise, and all of the things that it led her to, including an appearance on the after show for the Oprah Winfrey show. So again, intention, intention, intention. I know you're going to enjoy it. So without further ado, Dr. Renee Matthews. So Renee, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Of course. Finally, we made it happen. Super excited. So our first question, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
I don't know. I don't know that I ever thought about it as entrepreneurship. I just thought of people. Because my dad always had a full-time job and he had his business. So that's what I always saw growing up. My father worked a 9 to 5, and then after hours, he did all this other stuff. So I don't think I ever even thought about it as completely being by itself. I always thought of people having side hustles. So that's what I saw my dad having. So I figured that's what I'll do.
What was his side hustle?
My father can fix everything, but heating and cooling is his thing. And so he installed air conditioners, furnaces when it was winter, you know, and I mean, he fixed refrigerators, anything that heated or cooled, he said.
How did you, do you think that obviously you observed it and knew that dad has a full-time job and he has these other things that he did, but did that shape what you thought you'd do when you grew up?
It is, because that's the way it all started. In 2005, I had a full-time job and then I started my business. So that's exactly how it started.
Right. You didn't have there was no discussion about it. That's what you had seen and that's what you wanted to do.
Exactly.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Farmington Hills, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. We're about 15, 20 minutes from Detroit.
How would you describe a young Renee growing up in Farmington, Michigan?
I'm a severe asthmatic, so I was a sickly kid. I went
Mm.
to the ER every night of April and October because that's when the seasons changed in Michigan. I was gifted, so I was always really ahead of the class. I never missed school, even though I went to the hospital all those times. I never missed school. I actually had perfect attendance all 4 years of high school. And so education was the big thing. My dad is an immigrant. My dad's from the island of Antigua in the British West Indies. My mother's from Detroit, from hardworking parents. My grandfather was a sharecropper and had to drop out of school at third grade level because of working the plantation. My grandmother had a high school education. So education was really a big thing in our house. So
Mm-hmm.
here I was, this really smart girl that read before everyone else and, did all this stuff. And I did the arts because of my asthma. Exercise was not my friend because I
Mm-hmm.
wheezed all the time. I actually wheezed 365 days a year for probably the first 10 years of my life. And so I did the arts. I did acting, singing, and dancing. And so my parents, education, but at the same time, I loved the arts, but I said I was going to do it all. So I was like, I wanted to be a doctor, but I wanted to be an actress and a singer. So,
Because why not?
right, exactly. And
You
my
just do
mother,
one as your side job.
right, exactly. And my mom thought I was loony, of course, but that's what I said. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I had decided I wanted to be a doctor in like first grade.
What
And
made you? Do you remember what it was that made you want to be a doctor?
our brownie troop went to my friend's father's OBGYN's office, and he did an ultrasound on one of the girls. And I said, that's it. I'm going to be an OBGYN.
Oh, I love it. That's so cute. That's such a great story. When I think about that, when people say, what did you want to be when you grew up? I don't remember what I wanted to be or ever wanting to be something, but I just knew that I loved to write.
Okay.
And I love when people can say the moment that they sort of remember when they thought, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, that was the doctor thing. And then the whole arts thing, I watched Star Search growing up. I know you and I are close in age. Do
Uh-huh.
you remember Ed McMahon and Star
I don't
Search?
remember any of that.
Ha
No, I
ha
do
ha.
remember.
And so there was a young lady on there. Her name is Tasha Scott. She competed against Rocky. Rocky ended up being the first Black Mickey Mouse Club member. But Tasha Scott won and said, I had the privilege of working with Michael Jackson. She was signed to Michael Jackson's label later on. And I don't know, I connected with that young lady for some reason. I connected with her and was like, that's me. And she was later in True Beverly Hills. She was the only Black girl in True Beverly Hills, the movie with Shelley Long. And she was also on Amen, 227, all of that stuff. And so I was like, and I just kept following her career. And so I was like, that's going to be me.
You
And my
never
mother said, oh, really?
Right. Right. Your mother's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We never know, who we're going to connect with, or as children, who children are going to connect with, which is why imagery is so important, and that we all see a reflection of ourselves in media
Exactly.
and
Because she was
entertainment.
a brown Black girl. She wasn't,
Hmm.
not, obviously I don't have anything against light skinned people, but she looked like me.
Right. You can
Literally
relate to
looked
her.
like me. I was like, that's me. And I danced, I sang, and I acted as a child. I did all three competitively. And I also played the piano competitively. So this wasn't far-fetched. And actually, I did audition for Star Search, and I was picked to go further, and I got cold feet. I was like, what if I win? What if I became famous? Oh, my
Oh,
God. My mother's like, what's wrong with you? I thought this is what we were working for. And I was like, I changed my mind. And my mother was not the stage mom. So she's like, okay. And that was that.
do you ever have any, maybe not now, obviously it's a long way off now, but did you have any regrets afterwards? Like, maybe I should have done it. What would have happened if I had done it?
I think as a child, I did. Even probably in med school, I did, because I'll tell you, in med school, I went to school overseas, and I was in school. I was in England in school, and I didn't have a television. And my sister emailed me and said, "Who is Sutton Foster?" I said, "Oh, that's the girl that I used to compete against in singing and dancing." And she said, "Well, she just won a Tony Award last night." And I tell you, I bawled my eyes out. I literally just died inside and said, "Mommy, what am I doing with my life?" And she goes, "You're in medical school."
Right. You're not slumming it. Yeah.
I have nothing. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And that night, one of my songs that I sang in competition was "And I Am Telling You" from Dreamgirls. And
Mm-hmm.
that night, I went to my flat in Luton, England, and I sang my heart out. And
You
just
sang,
sang
you
a song.
sang it for yourself and Sutton
Exactly.
Foster.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe. And she won for Thorley Modern Millie, which was Whoopi Goldberg's first play. I go, Mom, that was supposed to be me. People, because I was the only Black at school, people always used to compare me to Oprah and Whoopi. And I was like, Mommy, that was supposed to be me. She's like, no, you're where you're supposed to be.
I
So
love it. It
for
sounds like
that
your
minute,
mom was like the calm in the middle of your storm
yes.
sometimes.
Yeah. So in that minute, I was like, oh my God, I should have done it. I messed up. What am I doing? And so then I was like, okay.
It's so interesting I'm glad you shared that because it's so interesting about the cold feet and having that moment and the cold feet isn't, in your case, it sounds like it wasn't, what if I messed up? It was like, what if I win or what if I become famous? And I think so many of us still sometimes have those moments now and keeps us sort of playing small, for lack of a better phrase, and not going for what we might really want to do because you were a child, but even as adults, I know even for me sometimes like, oh, but what if it works out and I don't know, am I ready kind of thing, or am I good enough to do that, the imposter syndrome and that whole thing. So that's an interesting, have you faced
I talk to people a lot now
yeah
who are like, I feel like they literally do have that fear of success. And I'm like, dude, what is the worst that could happen? Come on, And so I think it's funny that as a child, this happened to me, but as an adult, oh no, I am everyone's cheerleader. Everyone knows, please don't come to me because I will make sure that you do it.
Right.
I'm going to I'm a great accountability partner. I'm going to text you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to email. I'm going to stay on you and make sure that you get it done and you get where you're going. Because at the end of the day, my mantra is, my hashtag is live life you deserve. And my mantra is, I just want you to be happy.
Live like you deserve.
Live life you deserve.
Live life you deserve. I love it. So now where did you go to school? You said you were in London for medical school?
So I went to Michigan State University undergrad. And then I went to, I started med school overseas on the island of St. Martin. And then I transferred to England and finished in England.
What was the school in England?
In the school in England, St. Christopher's.
St. Christopher's. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get from St. Christopher's, in medical school to the Oprah Winfrey show? How does that work? Well, first of all, now that we know a little bit about you, we know it's possible, clearly, but how does that work?
So the school because the school was really a U.S. based school. It just was over there. So all of our rotations, because we were going to be U.S. doctors, were here in the U.S. So they had a large number of rotations in Chicago, and Chicago is not but 5 hours drive from my parents' house. So, I'd lived overseas for 3 years, so I really wanted to be closer to home. So I moved to Chicago, and I told my mom, I was like, now I'm in Chicago, I must meet Oprah, because I was that girl at Michigan State that watched Oprah every day, quoted her every day. Everyone always came to me and said, did that really happen on the Oprah Winfrey Show? Because they knew I watched. So I was like, I'm going to meet Oprah. And my friend my RA from college was from Chicago. I called her and was like, okay, now where's the studio? Once I moved here, I think I was here 1 week. She told me it was dark that night. I drove to the studio and took pictures. This was before we had really nice camera phones.
Right. You weren't posting it on Instagram either.
No.
You took it for yourself.
And it wasn't even a selfie. It was just took a picture, sent it to my mom. My mother goes, what is that? I go, that would be Harpo's studio. She goes, you went over there? I said, Mom, I had already been here 7 days. I hadn't been yet.
Right. It took me that long.
Right. She's like, oh, Lord. So the first time I got on Oprah, literally the phone number came up on the screen. Because I was a med student, we had strange hours with the hospital. So I was home during the day that day. The number came on the screen that said, if you want tickets, call. So I called and I called and I called and I called and I got through. And so at that time I had a landline and a cell phone. So I had the cell phone, I had to sit it away because I knew I would accidentally hang up. So I put it on speaker, sat it away from me. And on the other phone, I'm calling to see who's going with me once I get these tickets. So my parents came because my mom started seminary that week. And so that was her first day of school, the day we went to see Oprah. And then one of my girlfriends came from Detroit. My sister lived in Oklahoma at the time, was like, well, I have to work. I said, but you're not going to take off and fly in to see Oprah?
Right. It's a holiday.
Right. And she's like, I said, okay, forget it. So one of my friends drove in from Detroit literally for the day to go with us. And so that's who went. And that's how I got the tickets. I sat on hold for 45 minutes and then they picked up the phone. And so my sister and I rehearsed what I was going to say to Oprah because I don't have a stuttering problem, but that would be the day that it would show up.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, you were in the audience, right?
I was in the audience. Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to make certain that I didn't have a problem when it came my turn. And everyone's like, how are you going to speak to Oprah? I said, please don't worry about me. Please don't worry about me. And then they're like, you can't ask her for pictures. Don't you watch the show? She says, don't ask for pictures. I said, I won't, but I'm going to get one, but I won't. And so as soon as you get there and we sat down, Sally Lou said, if you would like to speak to Oprah, as soon as it says after show, make sure you stand up. So as soon as the screen changed to after show, I stood right up. Mm-hmm. And I was the second person she called on, and I had the entire segment. And then she told me to come down to the couch and sit down and talk to her. And as soon as I sat down, she pointed to the camera and said, look right there. There's your picture. We posed for our picture, and then we had our conversation.
What did you ask Renee? What was the question? What do you think made her call you down to the stage?
Oh, I said, it'd be a dream come true if I could just have a hug.
Oh, there you go. Nice and simple.
Yes.
And then she brought you down and you sat on the couch.
Yep. And then she kept talking to me because I figured I get my picture, I get my hug and leave. Mm-hmm. She had this death grip on my hand. She would not let go of my hand. And she started talking to me and was like, so you're a med student. So in medical school, do they teach you? And I was like, oh my God, and mind you, I'm having an internal conversation. So it's funny when I watch the video because
internally
it does look really good, but I'm telling you, I was having an entire conversation in my head that had nothing to do with what she was talking about. So I don't even know how I made sense. Because I was like, wow, we have big heads, both of us. Wow,
You're so
she
funny.
has a lot of gray hair. Wow. I'm just like literally going back and forth in my head. And then, like I said, she had a death grip on my hand. I go, gosh, she's holding on really tight. Guess I can't leave. I mean,
she wanted you to stay there.
Right. And I was like, I just literally was having this whole dialogue in my head. And everyone's like, well, it looked like you guys are all friends. And I was like, really? I said, well, you guys, if only you knew the voices in my head.
Right. You were fainting in your inside internally. Right. And that's amazing. So what year? What year was that?
That was in 2005.
What does that tell you about the power of intention? 2003. What does that tell you about the power of intention? Just that you said, I'm going to talk to her. Yeah.
That proved it to me. Elayne, that sealed it. I had never paid attention to anything like that before in my life. Mm-hmm. That was the day that I figured out I can do exactly anything I want to do because this is some place that everybody has always wanted to be, and I got there.
By saying, I'm going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And standing up. Yeah. Not getting cold feet because you could have gotten cold feet that day.
No, the funny part is I left off. As soon as I stand up, my father says, Renee, you're blocking the view of the woman behind you. And of course, there's cameras everywhere. So I'm like, do I turn and cuss this man out? Or do I stand here and smile because I'm sure the camera's on me? Mm-hmm. So I just stood there and smiled. My mother, I hear her say to him, didn't you hear the lady said if you want to talk to Oprah, you have to
they're discussing it.
It was so funny. So that's what happened. And actually, when I went back to my seat, my dad said, you did it. Mm-hmm. I did. And the funny thing is that was at 5 a.m. So I came home and fell asleep. My mother went to her first day of class. I wake up, my dad is sitting here. And I go, Dad, I had the craziest dream. I met Oprah. He goes, you did. And I go, no, I didn't, Dad. And my father does not care to argue with you. So he always just lets you. I'm like, Dad, you don't have to agree with me. I know I did not meet Oprah. That's silly. He goes, Renee, I was there. And I go, Dad, that's funny, but no, I didn't. He's like,
it felt like a dream.
It totally, because it was so early in the morning. I went to sleep. I woke up. I really didn't think it happened. And then when it came on TV and they called me and everyone was calling me and was like, we saw you. And I was like,
oh, I thought it was after the show.
It was, but after the show, remember it used to come on Oxygen.
Oh, okay. That's right. I got it. Okay. I was thinking just the part where she just talks to the audience, but it's not recorded.
No, this was totally recorded. That's why you see the video on my YouTube channel because it was recorded. Right. Okay. And actually, if you go to the Oprah Winfrey channel on YouTube, you'll see the video too. Now that was so crazy. They posted it on my birthday like 4 years ago. Talk about I'm gonna have crazy.
To link to that video. So now tell us how that experience, if at all, how did it, once you realized it was reality, how did it change anything that you did moving forward in your own life?
So that day I was like, after that, I figured out, okay, so if I say it, believe it, and receive it, it'll happen. And that probably sounds familiar. So I, once again, Oprah, she had the secret on. People were calling me. My cable was acting wonky that day. I didn't get to see the first episode. And then I saw the second episode where Lisa Nichols came on. And I was like, they said, you've been practicing the secret this whole time, but you didn't know it. And they were right. Everything I would say, they said, Renee makes it happen. If she says it, it'll be true. And that's the way I did it. Cause that's what, and I didn't even realize, but as a child, I kept telling everyone I'm going to be a doctor. And you don't know how many people said I was not going to be a doctor, but I graduated med school in 2005. And then, and everything in my life, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to meet this person. I'm going to work with this person. And it just keeps happening. So I do firmly believe that if you ask for it, believe it, and receive it.
And work for it.
Exactly. And right. So I do everything. When I say believe it, I am doing everything as if I already have it. And I keep moving and keep moving. And so I met Stedman 10 days, I think, before I met Oprah. And when I met Stedman, I emailed my friends the picture of me and Stedman and said, I'm getting closer to Oprah.
Mm-hmm. You were moving
and
down.
And then I got tickets. They thought I was joking when I said I got the tickets. And I go, no, I'm serious. They were like, how? I don't know. And then I have been to the Oprah Winfrey show every single season that I've lived here, except for 2. And then I went to the finale at the United Center, which was 2 episodes. So basically I made up for those 2. And I never called in a favor until the finale. The finale, because I knew a lot of people that worked at Harpo, but I never asked them. But then the finale, it was looking like less than 24 hours before it looked like I wasn't going to go. And so I was like, I got to do something. And so I called and I was told there was no tickets left. And then I got a text later that night, go to the United Center at 10:45 in the morning, get your tickets.
I love it. So now tell us are you practicing as a doctor now?
No.
Okay.
So I never wanted to practice, Elayne. I never wanted to practice. All I wanted to do was be Dr. Nancy Snyderman on Good Morning America. So before she was on, she was on the Today Show and she had a little problem and now she's not on TV anymore. But she was on Good Morning America when I was growing up and that's what my mom watched. And I just wanted to talk about medicine on Good Morning America just like her. I never imagined being in these magazines, having columns online and all this other stuff. I just wanted to be on Good Morning America to do my little 2-minute segment once a week or whatever, and that's it. And my mom was like, well, we don't know anyone on TV, so I think you should find a fallback plan. So my fallback plan was to be an OBGYN and deliver babies. But right out of med school, I had a radio show on XM radio. So I was like, if I can go from nothing to digital to satellite radio where my relatives all over the world can hear me, I think I might be able to get to television. And so as you've seen, slowly but surely, I got there. And right now, my big goal is I would like to have my own show, and I will have my own show on regular network TV. I have my own show that is shown in 45,000 doctors' offices across the country called Out of Office with Dr. Renee, where I sit down with doctors and talk about their specialty. So if you're in the dermatology office, then you might see my dermatology videos with the dermatologist. If you're at the internist, you might see my videos with the internist talking about heart health. I have some videos about cancer. So if you're at the oncologist, but I got a message yesterday from somebody in Philly that saw me on TV when they were at their primary care doctor the other day.
So how did you make that come to life, this being on the doctor's office and these different interviewing people?
That was my favorite friend, LinkedIn, that I tell everyone is the bomb. On LinkedIn, you can put everything, and I have my portfolio. I have literally my reel is on LinkedIn. So my reel consists of my Oprah I have two videos of Oprah that I've spoken to her. So I have 2 pictures with Oprah. And so I have both of those. I have video of, you've been on my show, the Ask Dr. Renee show that I started on YouTube. I have video from there. I have, I was in a BP commercial. I think that video might be in there. It was one of those real person commercials. So it was me talking. But I had an intern put together my reel, and I posted the reel on my LinkedIn page. The executive producer over at the company, the production company, saw it and was like, we think that you'd be great because you're a doctor and you're a host. And that's how I got it.
So it was on your LinkedIn page and they found it. They were
Yep.
looking for someone.
Yep.
Because, and then also combined with your intention.
Exactly.
So I have to make sure for everyone listening, I'll link to your LinkedIn page just so people can see how it's done. Because a lot of times we want to know, how did this happen? How did they make that happen? But sometimes it's just, as you mentioned, of course, the intention, but putting your information out there, having it in places that, and you mentioned LinkedIn, that you really love it. Is what do you love about LinkedIn?
Because it's a great way to connect.
As opposed to other platforms, excuse me.
For professional things, LinkedIn is an awesome way to connect to people. Another great story is I found the executive producer of The Real on LinkedIn. Come to find out, she's a Spartan like myself. She went to Michigan State University. I knew I was going to be spending some time in LA. I sent her my reel. Guess who had a meeting with her? Hour and a half, I think, hour meeting with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she saw I sent her an email. She responded to the email in 20 minutes and said, yes, I'd be more than happy to meet with you. And we met.
And how did it go?
It went great. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I ended up meeting with the development team at Fox. And so, I was like, okay, this is wonderful.
So what kind of show do you envision? So you never practiced. That was never, it was get your medical degree. And then you want to be on television, Nancy Snyder.
Right. My medical degree I use to educate the masses about their health. Mm-hmm. So I'm a health educator. I talk about, like I said, I've had columns. All my columns are health columns. Ask Dr. Renee. I had a column on madamnoir.com, goodenoughmother.com, black and married with kids.com, etc. And I was in Essence. I talked about health in Essence. I've been in Ebony, talked about health in Ebony. So everything, my whole life is just, I really want everyone to be healthy. So that's when I want to
I would think with your experience too, as a child, having to go to the hospital so many times, right?
Yep.
Excellent. So now what is your vision for your own show?
I want my show to be just like I said, my mantra is, I want everyone to be happy. So to be happy, you have to have your health. If you don't have health, you have nothing else. And you have to have wealth. And when I say wealth, you need to have a job, career that you love. You need to have money. So investing and saving. I'm a couponer. Investing and saving is important. And then, and so I think those are the two main things you need in life, because health encompasses physical, mental, spiritual, and then wealth encompasses everything else. So then I really would like to have a music segment at the end, because my life is music. Like there's a song.
Oh, right. The performer, right. The performing part of you. Yeah. So what would you say, let's see, what would you say is the way that you see yourself getting to that point? So you're doing for people, and ask that for people who are listening who might have the same similar aspirations, whether a television show or even just getting on television. A lot of people are just trying to get a segment on Dr. Oz or whatever other show and that kind of thing. So what would you say? I won't even say, how do you see yourself getting there? What would be your advice? Because you do work with people from a marketing and publicity standpoint also. Is your advice for people who are in certain areas of expertise, whether they're doctors or other things, and they want to get appearances on television? Or media
research.
Overall.
Research. And actually, I have a chapter in a book that's coming out next month, and I'll give you that information.
Yeah.
But the chapter is about getting media for yourself if you don't have the money for a publicist. So, but yeah, research. You need to know the exact person that you need to talk to at the magazine, the exact person you need to talk to on the television. So I tell everybody, when I started in PR, Google was not really the big thing. So Google didn't have all the answers it has now. And as a matter of fact, I used to mail stuff, snail mail, to a lot of people, because that's what it was. You mailed out media kits.
I remember those days too.
Exactly, right? So I think that with Google, you can figure out anything and everything. Google has an answer for everything, but research is like my biggest thing. Research and networking, I think, are the two things that'll help you the most.
What should people research? Should they research?
Exactly. Who is that editor, or who's the producer, that's, producing such and such segments? Or so if you want to talk about money, please don't email the health editor at the magazine. You need to find the finance or the business editor. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. When I say research, figure out the exact person, because if you send it to the wrong person, there is a good chance it's not going to get to the right person because they're frustrated because they get so many messages and they get probably 60% of them are to the wrong person. So make sure you get it to the right person. So that's my thing is research and networking, because it is a lot about who you know. Make good relationships. I think it's important to be a part of these professional organizations because you can meet very important people in those organizations that might be able to open doors for you.
Like which one? What's a couple of examples of good ones?
Well, I mean, depending on your specialty. So I know, I mean, if you want to be in media, then you need to be obviously NABJ is, well, NABJ because I'm Black, but a journalism organization. There is the National PR Society. If public relations is your thing. If you are, physicians have organizations too that are great. And these other, media organizations come to those places to find the next Dr. Oz or whatever. So that's an opportunity too.
Now, when you talked about the research part, to go back to that for a second, what's after the research? So I do the research, I find the producer, et cetera. What do you advise? And again, this is someone who doesn't have a publicist.
Right.
What should the outreach look like?
Short, sweet, and to the point.
Mm.
Tell them this is what they, what you want to talk about. This is why it's important. And this is why, how it relates to your audience or whatever.
Right. Why it's a fit for that brand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. It's simple. And I think that, having been an editor and now as a podcaster and getting pitches, which is all great, keep them coming. But it's funny just how often you get things that are either totally off brand or sometimes things just don't work, which is fine. You got to, shoot your shot. But sometimes it's either totally off brand or people like men reach out to me for Support is Sexy, which is a podcast for women entrepreneurs. And maybe they didn't know, but someone didn't do their research, so things like that. Like you said, it's not like you respond with, oh, you should try so-and-so and such and such. You just think, okay, they didn't do their research and you move on.
Elayne, that is it. That bothers me so badly. I had two people ask me to be guests of mine last week on LinkedIn. And I said, guest on what first? Because I was like, they didn't fit to the Ask Dr. Renee show, nor did they fit for Out of Office. So I was like, And so one of them, the one person did not email me back because I guess they figured out they blew it. Mm-hmm. The other person actually emailed back and said, you're right, I did not watch your show. Okay, well, if you didn't watch it, then
how do you even know you want to be on it?
How do you know that you want to be on?
Exactly.
You need to watch it. You would see that this does not make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so they, they thanked me and whatever. But I was like, that bothers me so because I get pitches too. And I'm like, what are you pitching me for?
Right. And it's funny, I'm on the other side of that with my latest business, Girl on Podcast, with helping women get booked on podcasts, which I think I may have told you about or written about. We've corresponded so much over the past few months. Or maybe on the show. Anyway, so yes, Girl on Podcast and sending out information on the women that I work with to people who podcast, but taking time to listen to their shows. And even if they say it's not a fit because of this reason or that reason, you don't always catch everything, which has happened to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Good to know. But you don't want to send something totally off brand. Don't just send it because you're trying to get on a show or you're trying to get, because you can end up, as Renee mentioned, the relationships are important and you don't want to mess up a relationship just because you didn't do the research or just because you didn't take the time to customize your outreach to someone. So for everyone listening, keep those things in mind. Sometimes I think people think, send it out to as many people as possible. Yes, but and Renee, you know more than I do about the publicity side, but I say it's better to take your time and decide how it works for each person you're reaching out, unless you're doing an email blast or something like that. But it's better to take your time if you're doing an individual outreach to customize it so that it makes sense, so that you don't sour that relationship from the beginning. Yeah, people saw it says host on my LinkedIn and they just send it to me. And I was like, well, that was silly. Did you pay attention to because you could see the videos are right there. You could look and see, oh, this doesn't make sense. And then I also have on there, I had on their producer because the Ask Dr. Renee show is basically a one-man show. My sister helps a little bit, but I am the booker, the producer, the everything. So I had producer up there. So then I've had people send me stuff and I was like, why are you sending this? Oh, because it says you're a producer. Right.
Pay attention. Did you read it?
Right.
So yeah, it's just important research is so key. You really need to pay attention.
So how does marketing and publicity, since we're talking about that, how does that play into your business? How did you decide that you wanted to start working with clients and doing that kind of work as well?
So when I first got out of med school and I had I had the radio show and I had a full-time job. So then I went to the NABFEM conference, National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. My sister and I were a part of the concert promoting group at Michigan State. So we had thrown Biggie, Outkast, Scarface, and we did a concert with MC Breed, Snoop, the East Side Boys, Daz and Corrupt, etc. So we had thrown concerts, and I said, Lish, I'm going to finish med school, and then that'll be our side hustle. We'll have a concert promoting company. And she said, okay, and because we liked being backstage, we liked throwing concerts. So I went to the NABFEM conference because I was like, oh, well, this is probably be a good place for me to be. And sure enough, it was. But I ended up seeing this 15-year-old girl on stage, and she was from Detroit. She had a D-Town hat on, and I was, the Detroit, the Old English D. And I was like, huh. And so I had been hanging out with Karen Taylor Bass, whom I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes, Karen was like episode 6 or something. Right. Supported Sexy, yes.
So I had been hanging out with her assistant all weekend, and I ended up, her assistant was like, you should get the little girl's package. And I go, but I'm not like you. I don't work in this business. I'm just here at the conference because it was in Chicago, and I figured I should go.
And this was which conference? Oh, right. National Association of, was it
Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment.
Right.
And so I said, I don't do this. And she's like, well, you should. So I got the girl's package, sat on it for a week, finally watched everything, and I called them and made some suggestions. And her mother was like, we can get a contract. And I was like, what is this woman talking about? So then I called my sister and I said, I think we just started our company. And so then we came up with the name. My cousin, Kyle Matthews, is our awesome graphic designer in LA. He did our logo. And I think he only sent us like 2 ideas, and we were like, yes. And then, so our company is MEGA, Matthews Entertainment Group and Associates. Our tagline is Live Big, Dream Bigger, MEGA. And we booked her for Eve's stepfather's fashion show, I think 2 minutes after the contract was dry.
Wow. And since then, you've been doing publicity and marketing.
So for her, I did everything. We did PR, management, booking, everything. And so because of her, other people saw my work. And so I started booking celebrities for other people just because I had celebrity contacts. So they were like, oh, Renee knows so-and-so. And so I would book celebrities for different nonprofits or whatever your event is. And then from there, Chico DeBarge became one of my PR clients, and we just started growing from there. And so that's what I was doing, was that and my full-time job. So I had 2 full-time jobs, I said, because I did that all night long. Like I was, right. Music is a late night job.
But now are you transitioning, or do you still have music
no,
clients?
You're right. Exactly. Right. I got a business coach, and she was like, you need to put your niche on doctors. She was like, and actually before she had said that, my day job was eliminated in 2014. And that's when I went full force with doing my stuff.
What was your day job at that time?
I was the professional medical educator for the cord blood bank for the state of Illinois.
Okay.
Life Source, yeah. So my job was eliminated, budget cuts or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to do this. They were like, everyone told me this is what you need to do because I was going to get a job. And everyone's like, no, you need to do whatever it is you have to do to get your TV show. So I started writing. And next thing I was getting paid to write. And I was like, oh, maybe I don't have to get a job. And then I was on Sway in the Morning, and I was like, oh, maybe I can make this happen. So I got a birdie in my ear probably 2 years into that saying, what you're doing for yourself, people would pay you to do that because they don't have a clue. I was like, really? So I started doing more, helping people like small businesses and entrepreneurs with their social media, because social media is really how I grew my brand and got my name so that I could get called for these different shows. And so I started working with them with social media, and obviously they had small budgets, and I was like, no, I can work with you. And so that's what I did. Well, quickly, I started working with my clients, the twin doctors. And the twin doctors, they're here in Chicago, and they were on Amazing Race many years ago. And so they already had a little bit exposure because they had been on the doctors once, but it just fell off. And I always thought they should be on a lot of other things. So I started working with them and got them back in the scene again. And from there, my business coach was like, doctors don't have a clue this whole PR side of things, but you do, and you should do that for them. And so now most of my clients are doctors. I still work with some entrepreneurs, but most of them are physicians.
Yes, excellent. And Dr. Shannon Clingman was on our show too.
Yes,
Lumi
deodorant
that I talk about all the time. That's wonderful. I didn't even realize that doctors were your specialty, but that makes sense. And it's such a, thank you for sharing that part of your story too. The way that that you got a business coach. I love that. I'm all about that. And
Jay Stone, the bomb.
Jay Stone. Is it, what's the website?
JAISTONE.com.
Okay, everybody. I'm all about coaches. So Jay Stone, Renee recommends. I'm going to link to.
She's in Atlanta, FYI.
Oh, okay. There you go. Hey, Jay. Excellent. All right. But the fact though that she right, that she recognized that you had a niche there, and sometimes it takes someone from the outside to see work that you're already doing. As you said, people said to you, doctors would love this because they have no clue. You're doing it. You don't necessarily realize that you could do it as a service to someone else and create a business out of it. So for everyone listening, just to think about those things. What are you doing? Or who can you bring in? A coach, a friend, someone from the outside to help you decide what your services and those kind of things could be, what you may already be doing for people that you don't.
And that's really that. She had a conference last year. She's doing it again this year, the Game Changer Conference. She did it last year, and I went last year. And that was something that, even though I had already been through 6 months with her, I learned some other things that I could, because the average millionaire has 7 streams of income.
That's right.
I learned some other places that I could make money. I was like, oh, I could do that too. I could offer that too. My whole focus is I want to help people. And so as long as whatever I'm doing is helping people and helping the greater good, then I'm good. So Lumi deodorant, obviously, and if you guys listen to Support is Sexy, you know about Lumi deodorant. It's helping people.
Yeah.
The twin doctors, they are, first of all, they're 2 Black men. They're OBGYNs. They were raised by a single mother. So that alone is helping all young Black boys know that they can do it, and young Black girls. And then they are educating you about your health. And that's what I want to do. I want you to be well informed so that when you go to the doctor, you know the right questions to ask, and you're prepared when you get there. You have your stuff written down. I want you to be, a great advocate for yourself so that the doctor cannot overtalk you or talk above your head. You understand, and you make sure when you leave there, you clearly understand, or if when you leave, you know who to go to get an understanding of what's going on. Because like I said, if you do not have your health, there is no point to anything else. I keep trying to explain to people, you don't have to worry about bills when you're dead. So make sure your health is good.
That's right. What does your support network look like?
Okay, my sister is my everything. She is my why. My sister is an amazing soon-to-be chef. She's in culinary school now, but she's an engineer by day. She works a full-time job and always has. But my sister's goal is to leave, corporate America one day. And if I can help her to do that sooner, then that's my goal in life. I do not have a husband. I don't have any children. So I have my sister, and she looks out for me like I look out for her. She is the one person on this planet that believes that I can do anything I say. And most of the times I say stuff just to say it. And she's like, yeah, you can do that. And I'm like, no, that's crazy. She's like, no, it's not. You can do it. And she is the one person, she's totally unimpressed with anything at this point. Because once you meet Oprah, she's like, I'm like, Lish, so-and-so knew my name. She's like, okay.
But she's not Oprah.
Right. She's just unimpressed. But she is the biggest support system. My best friend, who is next to my sister, believes that I can do anything in this world. She and I are Oprah and Gail. She has my 3 favorite little people. And she has the most amazing husband. I call him brother-in-law. But yeah, my best friend Salam is next to my sister, my everything. And then my fabulous parents, who it took them a minute to get on board. They are on board now. It took them a minute, though. My parents used to ask me regularly, when was I going to be working in the hospital? And my sister, my lovely sister, was like, please leave her alone. She
She's
knows
got it.
what she's doing. And so
They just want you to be okay.
right. And that's the thing. My mom, she goes, I just don't want my children on welfare. And I'm like, Mom, we're not going to be on welfare. We're going to be fine. And my parents are fabulous. They watch all my shows. They've watched every episode of the Ask Dr. Renee show. My mother was a guest on the Ask Dr. Renee show.
Oh,
Totally uncomfortable for her. It was Mother's Day a few years ago. So that was my guest. And my mom, of course, when I was in Essence Ebony, she bought several issues. She showed everyone that would look, this is my daughter. So they're very proud. Very, very proud. My father took that videotape of me on Oprah to his office. This is when he retired, and showed his office.
I love it.
Why? Just so they're very proud. Nothing shocks them anymore either. I'll say, oh, so-and-so this. And they're like, well, of course, I was going to sit in the Steve Harvey audience. My mother thought I was going to be a guest on the show. I was like, Mom, you really have changed.
Right. Do you believe? You believe.
She believes. She's got it. So, yeah. So that is really my biggest, those are I call them my front line, my front office. That's my front office right there. They ride or die for me.
So in closing, Renee, if you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
Oh my gosh. I think it'd probably be my sister, because my sister is the one who is in the trenches with me. My parents, they don't understand this crazy world, but my sister and I started the entertainment company together. So she understands a good portion of entertainment stuff because she's been through it with me. But yeah, my sister, that's the one I call. I'm like, Alicia, this is not working. What am I going to do? She's the one that I tested out. When YouTube changed the platform from Google Hangouts, she's the one that had to sit there with me because we don't live in the same state. Mm-hmm. So she sat there with me for hours on her computer, and we're sitting there looking at each other, trying to figure out how does this work and how are we going to make sure everybody can see us and hear it. So she, I call her my executive producer. When I do my show, she is literally texting me constantly. Don't do this, say this, ask that, do that.
I love it. I remember when we did the interview that you were going back and forth with your sister.
See, I'm serious.
That's your team.
Yeah, that's my team. So my sister is, like I said, she's a budding chef. My sister is foodie engineer on everything because she, of course, has a blog. She's taking us through this entire journey with culinary school. She was on the Rachel Ray show and almost won culinary school tuition, fully paid by Rachel Ray. But my sister is going to be the craft services of my talk show. So
what is her website, her blog?
Foodie Engineer, FOODIENGINEER.
Foodieengineer.com. Mm-hmm. Foodieengineer.com. Excellent. I'll link to that as well.
But yeah, great. Like I said, it's going to be me and her forever.
Oh, I love that. So you guys, are you close in age?
We are 2.5 years apart in age and 3 years in school.
Oh, see, I have a sister, but she's so much older than me. So we didn't grow up together. It's almost like, I remember my dad asked me one day, why aren't you and your sister close? He's thinking, we have some beef or something. It's like, no, we just didn't grow up together. It's just one of those things. So I always love hearing about siblings who are close in age and close in supporting each other.
We were suite mates at college.
Oh,
so I was a fourth year. She was a freshman. So we shared a bathroom just like at home.
I love it. That's great. So now tell us, Renee, how we can support you. Give everyone your website and the ways we can find you. I'll have links to all the things that we mentioned, but just so everyone can hear it.
So I have Ask Dr. Renee on everything. I keep it very simple. And plus I'm a social media person, so I know this, but AskDrRenee on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, and most importantly, YouTube. If you could go and watch my YouTube videos, YouTube recently changed, so now I'm not getting paid anymore. I'm so bummed. But if you guys go and watch some videos. They changed
what, the threshold for?
They changed. I have over 1,000 subscribers. So 1, you have to have 1,000 subscribers, but 2, you have to have, I forgot how many hours of viewing within 365 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll link to YouTube. Excellent. And Ask Dr. Renee on everything. And your website
and my website's askdrrenee.info because I'm a resource for information.
Ask drrenee.info. Thank you. Excellent, Renee. Thank you so much. This was fun and informative. So many things that I didn't know about you. Our search. That's wonderful. So now before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
Never give up. Do not listen to the naysayers. If you know within your deepest depths of your soul that this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you and God have talked it out, then you need to block out anyone that doesn't agree with that and is not helping you to do that. And I know it can be difficult because I've talked to and worked with a lot of people who have a lot of negativity or no support. You need to be your biggest cheerleader then. And find a Facebook group that has like-minded people that are doing what you're trying to do, because there's a Facebook group for everything. Find a group and they'll help you. I have so many people that were my cheerleaders that I had never met in person for months. And then finally I got to their state, or they came to Chicago and we finally got to meet. But please don't give up though, because there's so many things. And just because so-and-so did it, you're not so-and-so. And the way you're going to do it is going to be different than so-and-so. So you can still do it. So don't give up.
Excellent. Dr. Renee, thank you so much. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Dr. Renee. To find out more about her, to get in touch with her, find out about her website, to see all of the links to the resources, she gave plenty. So they're all there. Make sure you go to supportissexypodcast.com. Go to that search icon at the top and just type in Renee, Renee. Her show notes page will pop up with the links and the resources and the ways to get in touch with her. Supportissexypodcast.com. Type in Renee. Thank you so much for being here. As I always say, it would not be the same without you. I appreciate you, and I hope that you know that. Please make sure that we are connected on social media. I am at Elayne Fluker everywhere, and at Support is Sexy. I love hearing from you, connecting with you, sending you funny gifts that at least they're funny to me, right? They make me laugh, and you all seem to amuse me. So make sure that we are connected so that we can continue to chat. And until we chat again, always remember that you deserve support. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.